at the start of Independent Venue Week, some amazing news from the body who campaign on behalf of Grassroots Venues. The Music Venue Trust have just released this news. Mark Davyd from the MVT can tell us more. The top line of the story, Mark, is a 50% business rate cut coming for scores of venues around the country. Is that right?
That's absolutely right, Steve. Yeah, we've been campaigning on this for about 5 years, believe it or not. But yes, from the 1st of April, roughly 250 venues across the country will see their business rates reduced by 50%.
So in terms of actual financial savings, what does this mean? I mean, can you put any sort of figures on this?
We've worked out it's roughly £1.7 million going back into the sector that was previously coming out in local taxation. So it's going to make a huge difference to those abilities, the ability of those venues to survive, to secure their future, and to be able to invest in their music communities and the artists that they support.
Because I imagine the business rate is, I mean, I know I've talked to venue owners and promoters, and they do say it is one of the key factors when it comes to, it's one of the costs in their operational budget, which is hardest to cope with. So this is quite key for a lot of these venues.
Yeah, and actually it's basically become a lot worse in the last 2 or 3 years. There was a review in 2017 which saw music venues get quite extraordinary uplifts to the amount they were being asked to pay. The average was 38% increase, but actually it was as high as 600% in some venues. And you're looking at venues that are operating on fixed income. You know, they can't suddenly put the price of an entry ticket up by 600%. Nobody would go. So trying to find that money within an already tight budget really did drive a lot of venues into the ground, frankly. So this is a major breakthrough for venues, and it's just fantastic news for us.
And just talking figures again for a small venue, then each of the venues, what do we think roughly? Is it something in the region of 20 grand, 30 grand they'll save a year? Is it more?
Some of them are saving, the highest would be around about 17.5. The lowest would, that it could possibly be is about 3,750. I have to just say a lot of the work that goes on in the background to get this sort of breakthrough is incredibly dull, Steve. But you know, it needs to be done. You know, we're arguing with government departments about the importance of these venues, about how vital they are to the communities. So those arguments have now been won. There's still a great deal more to do, though. But, I mean, this is a great week to be announcing this, with Independent Venue Week on, with all the venues really celebrating, you know, what they're like. And I think it's just such a great announcement.
It's a massive... I know it's not all venues at the moment. And is it only in England so far?
It's England and Wales so far, but we're already on the phone to Scotland and to Northern Ireland because... These venues are all operating the same touring circuit. You know, you're all going up and around the country at the moment. Yeah. These venues need to be on the same level playing field right the way across the country, and there's some very specific work needs to be done within our towns and cities now, and we're hoping to make another announcement about that later this week.
And one last question. Do you think this is the sort of thing that could actually help some venues from potential closure?
Oh, no, it definitely will. I mean, last year we run a thing called emergency response, and last year we dealt with 96 cases of venues that were under threat of closure. Roughly half of those are under threat of closure because of financial problems they're facing from external factors, not because they don't have customers, but because they simply can't raise the money that they're being demanded to pay out to government or local authorities or taxation. This really takes that away, and it makes a huge difference to the ability of those venues to survive.
Yeah, it's a massive victory for live music. We couldn't start the week with better news, really. Mark, thank you very much for talking to us.
Great to speak to you, Steve, and more news coming later this week.
Excellent. All right, well, anything that comes through we'll pass on to you, dear listeners. In the meantime, here's a band who did come...